Hey guys, today I wanted to make a video of showing you how I buy cars during the whole pandemic. As you can see, I'm wearing a mask. The auction is open, but everything is closed. There's only a few people inside there doing bids, which I'll show you guys when we come back. But right now I was gonna walk through a few of the lanes, show you some of the cars and show you how I bet on stuff. So let's get into it. Okay guys, this is the Manheim here in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you can kind of see, imagine 7 Walmart parking lots full of cars. That's what this auction is. It has probably close to, I'm guessing, at least maybe 10,000 vehicles, probably more. They got stuff scattered all over. A lot of the auctions have been closed in California, so a lot of the banks and dealerships have actually brought in their vehicles here to sell because we're technically open. So if you kind of look behind me, I mean, it's just, I can't really show you how many rows that's back, and then all the way down this way. I mean, it is just massive amount of cars. So you figure with this many cars and this much supply, there's got to be, you know, less demand and the prices will go down. But everything's been the complete opposite. I've never seen it this way. I have so many dealers that are complaining about not selling cars and not making any money, but they're still over here at the auction overbidding the hell on everything. So today, like I said, we're gonna go through, we're gonna scan a few cars, I'm gonna show you a few of the things, I'm gonna do some screenshots for you guys, just to kind of show you guys what we're looking at. Okay, we just made it to one of the lanes that we're actually gonna go inspect. So when you're looking at vehicles, everything is numbered, everything has a certain order to it. If you look at like the ground here, they kind of blacked it out though, but there was letters and numbers here, so they must be switching lanes. So when you're looking at cars, let me see if I could find one with a sticker. Right now, since the whole pandemic, there's a lot of unorganization going on right now. A lot of these guys, they're not putting stickers where they used to be. So here we go. I'm gonna walk up to this one right now and let me show you this one here. Okay, if you look right here, this will tell you lane 9. The car is 146 cars into it. It's a 2018 and it's only got 45,000 miles. Now, anytime you see this, you always scan this to double check to make sure that this stuff matches up. Because I can't tell you how many times I've watched people buy cars and they're like, oh, it's only got 40,000 miles. And then it comes across the block TMU, especially if you buy it in what's called an as-is lane. An as-is lane basically throws out all this stuff where you cannot arbitrate it. So a lot of these guys are like, oh, well, they screwed up on the miles, I'll arbitrate it. If you bought it in the as-is lane, everything else, and they actually said that, you know, it's TMU, they didn't disclose the original miles, you're screwed. So every single car that we're going to be going by today, we're going to be scanning. So there's 2 different apps that you can use. I recommend getting started with the Manheim app. That's a good one to show you guys how to bid on vehicles. So there's a thing called MMR. MMR is kind of like market value of what they typically go for at every auction. And this will give you kind of a baseline of what you should probably pay. Now, unfortunately right now, vehicles are going way over MMR. I've seen people pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 over MMR on a cheap, like a cheap, you know, $3,000 car, $4,000 car. It's insane. We actually looked at a Volkswagen Jetta diesel. You know, these things are not that popular, and somebody actually paid $3,000 over MMR. So that's kind of what's going on right now currently, which really sucks. So that's what we're working on. Okay guys, I made it to my lane. If you can kind of look behind me, you can see it looks like a never-ending lane. But this right here is the bank repos. Now, this is something that I personally do. It's up to you guys if you want. I only buy from banks and I only buy from franchise stores. I do not buy cars from small independent dealers, because for every one car they bring back, you know, that they just didn't sell, they Mickey Mouse a lot of them. They're complete garbage. Most dealers, independent dealers, will lie their asses off and just kind of say, oh, this car is a great car, it's got low miles, it's in great shape. And then you get it and it's like the motor's full of Lucas. The funniest one I saw, the guy actually took a Corvette. Sorry, I just ran into one of my friends. I've seen a guy take a Corvette with a LS1 motor in it. They've swapped it out with a 4.8 LS out of a Chevy van. So people do that stuff all the time, the Mickey Mouse things. I have friends of mine, that's literally what they'll do. They'll go out and buy stuff like this that looks really nice, that looks good, you know, just because it has that look, and they'll clean it up and bring it over here to the auction, and more than likely it has a bad transmission, bad motor. They don't care, and they're selling it, especially during the pandemic, because the only thing that it takes, this car, if it moves 2 feet up and 2 feet back, it considers to be running and driving. And condition reports do not go into mechanical issues. So they'll put check engine light. So you'll be like, okay, it's got a check engine light. That's not that big of a deal. But then you come to find out that this particular vehicle has maybe, you know, transmission slipping. It has a motor knock. It has something really, really bad. And that's the problem with a lot of these either wholesalers or independent dealers, is they're trying to pawn off stuff like that onto regular people. And that's what gets dealers so in trouble, because now you're buying this car. Let's say you buy this Hyundai right here. You know, it's a nice car. You're planning on spending $8 grand for it. It's really, really clean, low miles. So you said, you know what, I'm going to go up a little bit more. I'll do 9. So now you're overpaying for the car. You get it back to your shop. It's like $3,000 in recon. So now you got to add that on there. Now you're $2,300 to $3,000 over retail, and you're stuck. And then you got to take it back to the auction. Everybody's going to assume that since you're an independent dealer that you're selling it because it's junk, even though you spent the money and fixed it, and it winds up going for maybe $6,000, $7,000. So that's kind of the downfall when it comes to purchasing here at the auction, is there's so many shady people that it just kind of ruins it for the rest of the industry. Now, back in the day, it wasn't this bad. I mean, most of my friends, you know, they would tell me, hey, Lucky, this car has issues, this has this, because that's what I bought. They knew that I liked damaged cars. I used to buy nothing but cars with mechanical issues. That was my background. So they all knew I had a shop. They knew that's what I liked. So most times they would call me before they'd even bring them to the auction. Now, these people, which consider to be my friends, I've known some of these people for, you know, 10 plus years. They swear up and down, oh, the car's great, Lucky, it's in great shape, you should buy it. I bought a 6 Series from a friend of mine, went 30,000 miles. He swore that it was great shape. Now the 6 Series BMWs, they have the same problems as the 7. The 4.4 is garbage. The V8, they have an issue with the Vano system, and it smokes. And I asked him explicitly, hey, does the car smoke? No, it does not. Okay, when you leave it running for about 25 minutes and then you press the gas, does it blow out a thing of smoke? No, I swear it doesn't. I was like, okay, one more time. Are you 100% sure? Oh yeah, bro, I wouldn't sell it to you if it was like that. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Let me go ahead and I'll buy it from you. Wired him the money, went and picked up the title. As soon as my guy pulled into the dealership, it was just blowing smoke everywhere. I called my so-called friend up. Hey man, I told you, did this car smoke? You swore to me no. I just got it here to my lot and it's smoking everywhere, you know, smoking like a chimney. You know, that's not cool. Oh, bro, it must have been something your mechanic did. You know, I wouldn't do that to you. And I'm like, why would my mechanic try to screw me? You know, and then on top of that, you know, it was my lot porter, wasn't a mechanic. I'm the guy that actually looks at the cars and tells you what's wrong with it. And I'm telling you right now, this thing has a Vanos problem. That's why you got it so cheap. And so, you know, I give him the opportunity. I was like, hey, you know what? You should do the right thing. Give me my money back. You can take your car back, whatever, and we'll still be friends. We'll do business down the road. Gave me this whole song and dance. Well, no, you know, it's as is. You got a great deal. You'll make money on it. And I was like, don't worry about it, man. I was like, if our friendship costs $5,000, that's fine. I don't ever need to fucking talk to you again. And it's funny because I see him here all the time. And he's always like, hey, Lucky, can you help me with this car? Like, he got stuck with a Bentley. He didn't know that like Bentleys, you technically can't do head gaskets on them, but I have a company that makes aftermarket head gaskets for him. So he bought one of these here for like 20 grand, thinking he ripped it because they told him it had a bad head gasket, but he didn't realize that Bentley doesn't sell head gaskets. So now he's stuck with this car. And all the time he sees me, hey, Lucky, can you help me? What's the name of the vendor? You know, whatever else. I'm like, sure, give me $5,000. And he gets so mad. And I'm like, that's the problem with these dealers. That's why I love to do classes like this. And this is why I like to teach people, because it shouldn't be like that. There should be some sort of professional courtesy when it comes to that. Like when I sell my cars, I flat out tell them, hey man, this car has issues. This car is a clean car. This car has, you know, it passes smog, clean title, clean Carfax, whatever the case is, you know. But for some reason, this whole honor amongst thieves things for dealerships is just a joke. Most dealerships, or most dealers, excuse me, will step on their own grandmother's throat for $1. I know this sounds horrible, but it's 100% true. And 90% of the dealers are not even like, they're just scum of the earth. Most of them, they're not even from this country. They'll come here, they'll get big flooring lines, max them out, and then they'll rip them all off, and then they wind up taking off, which is freaking hilarious. They do that all the time. This other guy, I remember we met him, he flat out told everybody that that was his whole goal. He was gonna get I think like a $2 million flooring line, and his thing was to build it up over the next 2 years, get a bunch of money, and then take off back to Israel. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Are you sure you want to do that? He's like, yeah. He goes, my friend did it like 2 years ago. And sure enough, that's exactly what he did. It was insane. So, you know, I don't recommend doing that. You know, businesses fall out of favor and you lose money, but don't purposely go after flooring lines and banks and stuff like that and try to put them out of business, because all that does is hurt everybody else that's trying to do this for a living. Because right now we have a local guy here in Vegas that his name's Philip. Shout out if you're watching this. We're actually teaching him how to get his dealer's license right now and setting him up. Just because these other dealers did all this crazy stuff, it's going to be twice as hard for me to give him, you know, get him like a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 line of credit when all these people have burned these flooring companies for, you know, a couple $100,000, some of them up in the millions. So it's insane. So, you know, basically what I'm trying to get at before I ramble too much is be an up and up dealer. There's nothing wrong with, you know, if the car's a piece of shit, tell them. A lot of people will still buy it even if you tell them it's a piece of shit. But at least this way, if you told them, you won't have those issues. Be an honest dealer. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, especially coming from a car dealer, but it's something that's very, very important that you need to do as far as like business integrity. So the next thing we're going to look at, I love these cars, especially from banks. Let's see if you could see that there. It's got this massive dent. Now, as far as me, I love this stuff because people, it's weird. This car could have a blown motor and it would only go for about 1,000 back a book right now, the way how stupid people are bidding on it. But with body damage, it's funny. This little body damage will cost me probably about $350 to $450 to paint the fender, fix the door, and paint the other one and blend everything and polish it out. Compared to if this thing had a bad motor and I had to spend $1,200 to put a motor into it. But that's just the way these dealers are. They don't like to get anything that's ugly. If this car was clean and had a bad motor, it literally would go for all the money. But since it has a dent and everything else, I'm hoping this one will get a little bit cheaper. So I'm gonna scan this car and go through it, and then I'll get back to you guys here in a second. Okay, I just scanned the vehicle. I'm gonna show you guys some screenshots probably right here or back and forth. The first one is going to be from Mannheim. The second one is going to be an aftermarket app, which I'll include in there too as well. These will both show that the average auction price of this particular vehicle is around $13,000. So with this damage right here, I'm hoping that we could pick this thing up for around maybe, normally we'd pick it up for like 8, but right now during how stupid people are buying, we're probably going to have to pay about 10 grand for it. Even though, you know, it's basically we're going to spend about $1,000 fixing it, servicing it, polishing it all out and everything else. I mean, we'll still be 2 grand back a book, but the downfall is like I said, people are overpaying like crazy right now. I don't understand it. So, you know, we'll make a little bit of money, but not as much as what we did. The good thing is a lot of these people are going to go out of business because a lot of the banks right now are not lending, and the repo rates haven't caught up to what's going on in the current economy. So pretty much what happened is a lot of these banks made deals with the government saying, you know, hey, you know, you're going to give these people forbearance, you're not going to go after them, you're going to, you know, work with these people, you're going to try to help them out and not, you know, take their cars right away. And in the meantime, they're getting tax incentives, other benefits that are helping them not to repo customers' cars right now. So as of right now, the default rate is the same. But in about 60 days, once all this forbearance stuff goes away and people have to make all their payments or their back payments, it's going to get ugly. Banks are going to have massive default rates. As soon as that happens, they always shut off the faucet. They're like, nope, no more lending. And they get super, super strict. They don't sell anymore. They don't lend anymore. They don't do nothing. And so everything just drops completely. And then all of a sudden, all these dealers that overpaid for all these cars like this are stuck with them. So they take them to the auction. They can't sell them because now the prices start to come back down. So I'm hoping around the end of September, end of October, when all the stimulus monies ran out and all the programs are pretty much gone, all these prices are going to start dropping dramatically. And, you know, so we're going to have cars at the auction that are not selling for more money, dealers that are going to be flooding the market with cars they can't sell, plus the massive bulk of repos that are coming in. Plus, like I said, Hertz and everybody else in Avis are still letting go of their cars. It's just supply, 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 and the demand is going to be dwindling, dwindling, and dwindling. And that's when you need to be really aggressive and just buy only the stuff that you absolutely need, cherry pick the cream puffs, and just be very strategic. Just go after whatever is going in your market and buy it for as cheap as you possibly can. You know, so right now we're selling cars and we're doing well, but our whole goal is to build up a stockpile of money. So right around the end of September, beginning of October, we're literally going to go nuts. We're going to buy a big, massive chunk, because what's going to happen is, like I said, that first initial bubble, people are going to get scared. Just like the stock market, it's going to drop a little bit. We're going to buy. And then eventually people will start regaining stuff and start rebuilding the market, and it'll go up. So hopefully by then we'll buy 200-300 cars during that little dip where it's the lowest of the lowest. And then we'll kind of ride that wave up. So, you know, this needed to happen. You know, everybody knows about the real estate bubble and what it did, but the automotive bubble is just as real, and it will affect more people. You've heard me talk about it on a few of my videos before, and that's one of the things is, you know, like I said, the demand is not high, the prices are extremely high, and the supply is extremely high. All those things don't matter. I mean, don't make sense. You know, it's usually one or the other, and it all balances out at the end. But the automotive bubble, it's like we're just building this false market. And once the banks basically tell everybody that they're not lending anymore, and these people are going to be stuck with these vehicles, it's going to be insane. So we're actually not going to be going for super expensive vehicles. Like we used to do vehicles like this Mercedes. We won't even touch them now. The nicest stuff that we're going to be buying is stuff like this Hyundai Sonata, or excuse me, Santa Fe. You know, stuff that you could buy for like $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 and below, because we do have trucks like this. They're great sellers. We get tons of people, but these are good credit customers. And just like myself, if I want to go out and buy a car, I'm not paying whatever they want for it. I'm going to come in with a check from my credit union, offer them the lowest dollar amount of money, and they're going to have to take it unless they want to sit on the vehicle. So, you know, I recommend right now buying more affordable vehicles, something that's cheap, preferably under $10,000 retail. That means you got anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 to purchase vehicles and retail them for about $10,000. That is the sweet spot. With $1,500 down, which most people are going to have because of the stimulus money, you will have very, very good luck selling these particular type of vehicles. But I have friends of mine, they're still in that, you know, I got to drive Mercedes, I got to have BMW, Audi, Lexus, Cadillac. If you want to buy one or two of those, go for it. You know, we call them bait cars. Those are the cars that bring people in. You know, they come in for the Audi, but they wind up leaving in a Nissan Altima. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm letting you know right now that when it comes to risk factors, because when the banks start getting more strict, they turn on all these things that basically they count as preventative measures. Not only do they take the customer's credit and job time into account, every vehicle has a risk emblem. A risk emblem is basically letting the bank know what kind of default rate these particular vehicles have, what's the most common. So a lot of these banks will have very high risk emblems on luxury vehicles, because when people break down, they don't have the money to fix them and they go up for repo. And a lot of these people have high payments, high insurance with high recon costs. It's just a recipe for disaster. So especially in the subprime market, they're going to get extremely hard to lend on luxury vehicles. So all my friends that are still selling, you know, Mercedes, BMWs, because, you know, there are a lot of people that want them. We have people every day coming in trying to buy the ones we have, but 90% of them can't get approved because, you know, they've never paid a bill in their life, and they're wanting to leave with a $200 car payment, you know, with a 300 credit score. It's not going to happen. So like I said, I recommend, you know, like this little Ford Fiesta. It's nothing fancy. It's not truly amazing. It's something you probably buy for about $2,000 to $3,000. You sell it for $59.95 or $69.95. A family will get a good, reliable transportation car. Nothing fancy. They won't have a crazy payment. And the best thing is you want to push onto the customer, hey, folks, you guys are going to own this car in 2 years. You know, where you buy this this BMW, you know, you're going to have 5-6 years of payments on this thing. And, you know, and by the time you're halfway through with this, it's going to be less than what you actually owe on it. Or that Ford, you know, the Fiesta, you're going to own it in 2 years. In less than a year, you're going to owe pretty much nothing on it. You know, you could technically pay it off sooner if you wanted to. So we're trying to train our customers into thinking that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. A lot of these guys are just like, no, I want a Mercedes. I got to have a Mercedes. And get ready for that. You're going to get a lot of ballers on a budget that want the most nicest cars but can't afford them. That's probably the worst thing here about Vegas, to be honest with you. Every day I think to myself, I should have opened up in Texas. The consulting I do in Texas is ridiculous. Their bank fees are like a fraction of what ours are here. Their customers are 100 times better. You know, you meet a young guy, you know, that's wanting to get his first car. Most of those people, they want a truck or a nice Charger or an Impala or something like that. For some reason here in Vegas, everybody that makes $8 an hour needs to drive a Mercedes. Hey man, I just got a job at Del Taco or Taco Bell. I want to roll this Mercedes. Excuse me, sir, you only make, you know, $1,200 a month. Your car payment's going to be $1,000 a month. Oh, that's okay, I can afford it. Well, it doesn't include insurance, gas, maintenance, and everything else. I don't care, I'll figure it out. And that's the way people think here. So trust me, every day I kick myself in the ass for not opening up a dealership in Texas. If you're watching this and you're in Texas, you're a fool if you don't jump into this right now, because it is so easy down there. When I go down there and we do consulting and these guys are like, it's so hard, man. The banks are charging me $500 for fees and they used to only charge me $250. My average bank fee on a regular deal on something like this Volkswagen right here, well, I don't know if you could see it, there it is, a $12,000 car, they'll charge me $2,000 to buy that car. That's all my profit. It's gone. That's it. It's a wrap. So now I was going to make, you know, $2-3 grand on something like this. I barely make like $1,500. It sucks. You know, if I was in Texas, I'd get a $500 bank deal. And on top of that, I probably wouldn't even pay half as much for this car in Texas as I do here. Vegas is a screwed up market. California is getting just along with it. But if you live in the Midwest, you'll be able to crush it, because something about consistency of jobs. In the West Coast, there's so many transient people, especially here in Vegas and LA, where people just kind of move here from other places wanting to reinvent their lives. Where if you go to places like Ohio, Texas, some places in the South, you know, we're talking generational families that have been there, you know, for multiple years, that have been doing the same thing their fathers did, whatever else. It's very stable. Those are great markets. So if you're in one of those markets and you're watching this, don't be discouraged right now. Go all in, because what you guys have compared to what we have here is awful. So I think the only reason that I came creative and doing all this crazy stuff with buying cars, working with different banks, doing the in-house financing, trying to do as much as I can, is because we have to do that here to survive. Where over there, you can just focus on getting decent cars, working a good deal with one bank, and you're good to go. So I've mentioned it in a few of my other videos that when I first started this, we had 27 subprime banks in Las Vegas. We only have 6. And out of that 6, only about 4 are buying. And out of those 4 that are buying, they're giving you an average of $2,000 bank fees on cars under 10K. Let that sink in. So that's what we have to deal with here in Vegas. So, you know, if you're in Texas and you're a billionaire, give me a shout out. If you want to open up a dealership, I'd love to do that. But you know, like I said, I wanted to kind of just walk you guys through here. I haven't done an update in a little bit. We just, like I said, decided to do YouTube full time. So we started switching over to that. I'm still consulting. I'm still buying cars for other people, and I'm still doing some other stuff. But, you know, our main focus now is putting out good content for you guys. So this way we can educate you guys, help you guys out, hopefully learn some stuff. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have any questions, please put it in the comment section below. I'd love to know your inputs, your comments, your thoughts, as well as if you're interested in any classes, consulting, hit me up on my email. It's lucky@automotivelife.com. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at automotive.life. I post videos like this every day. So make sure you follow me on there. And then also please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. Like I said, we broke our 5,000 subscribers, which is truly amazing. And I love the fact that you guys are putting like random comments. If you guys want to do that again, if you're watching this still, if you can put toast or something ridiculous in the bottom, I truly appreciate it. And once again, give us a shout out, share us to your friends. You know, the only thing that's going to help us grow is basically you guys. And we're so appreciative of what you guys have done so far. But thank you guys so much again, and we'll see you next video.